How do y'all? I'm EJ, you're you, and welcome to my channel, where today we are taking a look at a creature collection game that is inspired by Pokemon, has a little bit of crafting, but a different take on battling. No, not that game. It's Ooblets! Yay! I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little late to Ooblets. It did initially come out in early access in July of 2020, and then it fully released for 1.0 in September of 2022, and then was released on Steam in October of 2023. Now it is the year of our Lord and Savior, January 2024, and here I am, finally playing it. I am nothing if not punctual, so are we really surprised? No, we're not. I played through the main storyline of Ooblets and found a cast of kooky creatures and characters, and a sense of humor that is straight out of 2014 Tumblr. It's wry, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's perfectly relatable for anyone with a mental illness, and as someone who was on Tumblr in 2014, I friggin' loved it, okay? I know that it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I will always respect a game for taking a big swing. So without further ado, might I present Ooblets? Ooblets starts off the way any good cozy game should, with character creation. It was pretty limited in terms of options. I just had to select a skin tone, hairstyle and color, and an outfit, and that was it. Honestly, I kinda love the simplicity of it, because as I discovered in my favorite character creation sim, Baldur's Gate 3, I can get real into that. And as I will discover later in this game, you can still get blue hair and a beard, thank God. Now created and given life, I was also given a backstory. It is pretty standard farm sim fare. I left my boring little life behind, and I arrived by boat to Oob, where they have oddity, creativity, and Ooblets. Nice title card, I like that. I was welcomed by Mayor Tinsel to Badgetown. Oh my god, Lightning, I love you. I was welcomed by Mayor Tinsel to Badgetown. When asked about my plans, I revealed that like any good farm sim protagonist, I had arrived jobless, homeless, and penniless. A true entrepreneur. Luckily, if I agreed to help Tinsel with her mayoral tasks, she agreed to give me a house. So call me assistant mayor, I guess. But then Tinsel noticed one more less about me. I was Oobletless. See, I came from a land devoid of Ooblets or something, I don't know. So I didn't have one, but no matter, my Ooblet club would probably give me one, but gotcha! I am also Ooblet clubless. Listen, I came to this island with a little black hoodie and a dream, and that's it. So Tinsel was like, BRB, and ran off to grab the club leaders. In the meantime, I started to get acquainted with my new neighbors. I met Milu, the local SWM, Ara, the goth, Churls, the grumpy old queen who runs the clothing store, Pult, the Bumblebee Bun salesperson, Rugnolia, a scientist who also gave me my Oobdex, aka Grimoire, Taffy, a little clown freak, Mead, an Italian seeds salesperson, Double, the stressed coffee shop owner, and I also met my first Ooblets. Look at these little guys, look at the dancing, wow. At this point, Tinsel had returned with the club leaders. I met them and had to decide which club I would join, and thus which Ooblet would be my very first. There was Melda, the leader of Frun Buns, the club for cute and cuddly cozy cottagecore gamer girls. There was Basil, the leader of Peak Snubs, the club for rich douchey people. Vidion, the leader of Mimpins for the smart but not socially inclined types. And Outgrid, leader of the Moss Sprouts for people who are from Seattle, aka outdoorsy. I was stuck between Mimpins and Moss Sprouts because I am not great in a social situation, but I also have been known to spend a little bit of time in Seattle and enjoy a hike or two. Ultimately though, I decided to go with Moss Sprouts because I like the Ooblet more, and now I got Shrumbo! With Shrumbo, I could dance battle with other Ooblets, a tradition that I didn't understand, but nevertheless, as a parent, I should support hobbies. Conveniently, a new Ooblet, Lump Stump, came up to me and wanted to dance, so I entered my very first dance battle. Dance battles are basically combat in this game. They're the Pokemon battles, and they are card-based. Each turn you have a certain amount of beats, and each card costs a certain amount of beats to use. The cards all have different effects. Some like earn points for your team, some can stun enemies, some can add hype to your team, which will increase the amount of points that you can earn per card, and each Ooblet comes with some signature move cards that you unlock as they level up. The goal in all of this, though, is to reach the goal point number before your opponent does, and when you do that, you win. You see that? That's what it looks like when you win. With my opponent Lump Stump handily defeated, he came up to me and promptly pooted out a seed. A seed? A seed. Yep, that's it. Instead of catching new creatures and balls of questionable technology in this game, you plant seeds to grow new Ooblets, which is like, farm sim. Get it? Wacky, quirky, fun. I like it. Ooblets seed in tow, I was guided to my new home by Tinsel and Mead. The house itself was, wow, what a junkyard. I mean, a very unique property with a lot of potential. But I can fix that. Mead also gave me a dirt scraper and dribbly can so that I could tame the farm plot. I planted some sweetie beaties, also from Mead, and that was it for day one of my Oob venture. I started off my second day by learning how to water my crops, a Sisyphean task that I will rant about later. Then I went around town with a general sense of like, what am I supposed to be doing now? I started meeting some of my neighbors, but a weird thing that threw me off is that not everyone in town is like an actual character. Like they all live here and like they're people, right? But they don't actually have any personalities, and they all pull from the same stock set of lines. Kind of like, every Fae Farm character. It was hard to differentiate at the beginning who was a real character and should be actually befriended, and who was a soulless NPC there to fill out the town. But luckily, I'm telling this from the future, so I know who the important people are. So I met Gimbal, who has a hot air balloon that has seen better days, and I also met all of the team leaders. Again, they didn't remember me, I guess. Around town, I also found some forageables like mushrooms, and, cans, I guess. But cans and mushrooms aside, Tinsel needs my help, okay? She's currently working on some cardboard boxes because there's an aggro Ooblet in Town Hall. Luckily, I am an undefeated dance battle champion, so I went in there to humble this little guy, and oh my god, it's adorable! Clicky Claws put up a good and angry fight, but it was no match for me, the Ooblet champion, and that Oob seed went right into my farm plot. Defeating Clicky Claws also unlocked the Town Hall, which held a statue of the major governing body, the Ooblet High Council, which is apparently comprised of 3 Ooblets. Sure. But the OHC, as I like to call it, was threatening to shut down Badge Town for some reason, and Tinsel needed help from me to fix things up around town. So she set up Tinsel tasks for me to accomplish. I mean, we love missions and also tasks. It's our favorite thing in games, right? With my objectives finally clearly defined, I tackled my very first Tinsel task and cleaned up some mysterious cans. This slotted nicely into Vidion, introducing me to fishing. In this game, you put basically any item, but mostly junk like the cans, into the reconstitutor, which produces slurry that could then be turned into bait for fishing. Then you go out to the end of the dock and you click, and then you watch a cutscene. Yeah, not the best fishing mechanic in my humble opinion, but I digress. After, quote, fishing, I went home and started on another Tinsel task, upgrading my house, breaking some rocks and some logs on the farm. Classic farm sim stuff. But I don't have any tools this time. I just use my fucking hands like an animal. I'm like, meh, meh, meh. Yeah, call me a Nitra. A farming ain't all back-breaking work, because look, I got my second Ooblet! It's Lump Stump, aka the very first one that I dance battled, and now he will join my follow babies and follow me around. And no, that's not me being cute and funny, that's what they're called. I also earned my very first badge, delivered via fish, for collecting a bunch of stuff. This gave me some wishies, which could be spent at the Wishy Well to buy resources or unlock new mechanics. Wishful and Oobletful, I returned to the back-breaking work of clearing my farm. I collected most of what I needed for my house, but I was short clothlets, a trend which is gonna continue. Luckily, I got some clothlet seeds to plant. Inspired by my seeding, I went and got some more seeds from Mead to plant on my plot. Then, I wandered around. I found Magnolia, the scientist in the learnery, and she showed me her Ooblets scanner and gave me an ongoing quest. Yes, we love an ongoing quest. Whenever I got a new Ooblet, I was just supposed to bring it here and get it scanned, and then I get gummies, aka currency. I scanned Shrumbo and Lump Stump, and then was shown to the 3D printer. Scanned Ooblets could be printed into little statues using the power of 5 Nernies, and those statues could be put in Town Hall for completionist things. Yeah. This inspired me to dance with as many Ooblets as I could, but I quickly found out that in order to dance with them, I needed to offer them specific items. Oh no, I need things to do stuff. This basically makes catching Ooblets a little more difficult and turns it into a series of fetch quests. And you know how I love a little fetch quest? You remember my date with Fae Farm? Also, I haven't mentioned this yet, but I am playing this during the Winter Christmas event, so get used to that, I guess. Anyways, the next day I increased my follow babies by 1 with my new Clicky Claws! I love Clicky Claws so much, by the way. Just look at this grumpy little guy. Ugh. I love a little grumpster. Continuing in the early day farm sim tradition of giving you a bunch of activities, tasks, and mechanics over the course of a few days, I learned about 3 new things today. First, plenties. It's like an order fulfillment task. You go check what's being requested and you supply the necessary materials. You can only take one order at once, but it does pay pretty well. But I'm going to be an honest future narrator here and say that I only did the 2 that you were required to do for the tinsel task. I did not use plenties that much, okay? Then we got the printy press, which is in Ara's house and is a way to print out friendship stickers, which NPCs give out. Obviously, it's broken, so I need to go fetch some materials for her to fix it. So I'll go do that, I guess. And finally, we have the Wildlands, an area to the north of town that can hold extra ooblets for you, essentially making it the Bill's PC storage system from Pokemon, but like all free range and organic and shit. You can help to develop the Wildlands and receive some cool stuff and unlock areas of the Wildlands by completing various ooblet related tasks from this Wildlands board. This was another mechanic that I didn't super focus on during my playthrough beyond the required first 2. Because there's so many tasks, okay? But in exciting other non-tasky news, I dance battled with my very first ooblet that wasn't a scripted event. It was this cute little lump stump. And listen, I know what you're thinking, EJ, you already have one of those. And I do, but this one was an unusual ooblet. You see, ooblets come in 3 different types. Common, which are common, unusual, which are pretty uncommon, and gleamy, which are the shinies of this creature collection game and are super rare, although I will say they're probably not as rare as like actual shinies. After demolishing the lump stump in battle, I wanted to get some speedy grow fertilizer from fishing, but I needed slurry, so I put a friggin' obsidian in there. Listen, at the time, and you know, y'all watching this, if you've never played this game, you don't know this either yet, but that's insane. Obsidian is so valuable. When I watched this back, I audibly gasped. You'll understand later if you don't get it now. I mean, I guess it was worth it because I did get a few speed grow, but I didn't even use them on my clothlets. So like, what the hell, past EJ? Jesus. From here, I started to settle into the day-to-day of ooblets a little bit, you know? I got a new machine in the mail, a cruncher, which is basically just like a mill that grinds certain crops up. But the fun thing with machines in this game is that you get to assign an ooblet to work it, and then it gives them this cute little headband. I love them. I tended to my crops, which annoyingly only stay watered for 1 day from when you water them. So they randomly get dry throughout the day, but they're not dry in the morning. It's like, just dry out by the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's annoying. I hate it. I also danced with some new ooblets. I got a Clomper and a Fleeble, and I discovered Fluster, which is like anti-hype, which will decrease the amount of points you earn per card. But since I go first every time, it's basically impossible for me to lose. So even flustered, I still won. Y'all tried to fluster us, but you done flustered yourself, I guess. The battle system in this game is honestly my favorite part of this game. I really love it. It doesn't get super complex and detailed, but like there is some fun mechanics and strategy to it, which I generally enjoyed. Now back on my farm, I finally was able to harvest the clothlets that I needed for my house to be upgraded. And with the helps of the ooblets, I finally fixed up my little shack. I thought I heard the dulcet tones of amateur construction work. Unfortunately, it was only after I completed that task that I found out that you can just find clothlets like just around the world. Shut up. You can just get clothlets from around the... I grew them like a rube. Though to be fair, it's not really that reliable, so I guess growing is still the best option, but you know. Speaking of finishing quests, I gave all the stuff that I needed for the printing press to Ara, which unlocked a new friendship system. By talking to the real NPCs and not the soulless husks of set dressing, you'll gain points that will add up until you level up and receive a sticker from them and a couple goodies. To make myself extra appealing to future friends, I headed to Padrig's hair studio to finally get myself some blue hair and also a beard. At last, my face is complete again. Side note, I know he's like literally just a tube man, but I'm into Padrig. I also found one more mechanic at the furniture store where I also went shopping for a lamp and some floor tile. Ooh, designer, look at her. In the form of a fabric cuter, which you can use to make sprinklers, oob coops, crunchers, all from basic materials like planklets, obsidian, nurnies, and the like. Fun fact, if you play that last sentence out of context, it kind of sounds like I'm speaking Simlish, so that's fun. But just like in Genesis, it was on the 7th day that the real story began. Oh my god, the Catholic school really jumped out there, huh? Tinsel asked me to turn on the Ooblet Tower in town, but to do that, I needed to defeat some rowdy Ooblets in a dance battle, which I did so handily, but it was a pretty difficult battle, I guess. They kept stealing my points. Rude ass. With those moody Oobies out of the way, I was able to turn on the Ooblet Tower to restore Oobnet to the rest of the town, but that didn't quite work. Tinsel deduced that we needed to turn on the tower in the neighboring town Mamunia as well in order to get the Oobnet up and running. But to get there, I would need to use Gimble's balloon, which was looking a little worse for wear. But nothing a quick fetch quest couldn't fix, am I right, ladies? I needed a lot of planklets and nurnies and, unfortunately, clothlets. So I started clearing my farm, which got me the nurnies and the planklets, but no clothlets or clothlet seeds. So in my impatience and gummylessness, I just used wishies to buy clothlets from the well, which is honestly probably a waste, but like, who cares? I don't know. I just wanted to get this going, you know? But the game had the last laugh in the end because even though I cut corners, I still had to wait a day for the balloon to be fixed. Love that. As a pick-me-up though, I picked up Wiggle Whip and Clomper, so my Oob army grows. Soon they'll be harassing people online in the name of K-pop boy bands. After a quick sleep, Gimble's balloon was fixed, which means off to Mamunia. Mamunia was a desert town with cactus and desert-themed Ooblets inhabiting it. I honestly had no idea that Ooblets was going to have other towns, so this was pretty cool to discover. Mamunia's Oobnet Tower was luckily right where I stepped off the balloon, but unluckily, Princess Diana, who lived in there, was locked out because someone had stolen the keycaps off the keypad. Oh no. They were scattered around town, so I just had to go around and retrieve them, and then I could get into the Oobnet Tower and turn it on. Easy peasy. I went down the sandy brick road and quickly found one of those keycaps being used as a hat for an Ooblet. The owner had no idea it was stolen though, so he was just like, listen, just give me one last dance to savor it, you know? And this kicked off my very first dance with an Ooblet, like, trainer. I don't know, what should I call them? I guess Ooblet trainer feels right. It honestly didn't feel super different from like a wild Ooblet battle, except, you know, there was like a wider array of Ooblets. I was kind of disappointed. I expected the trainer AI to like be better, but whatever. I won and I got one of the 6 keycaps. A little down the path was another keycap used as a hat, which I dance battled for and handily won again. Now with 2 of 6 keycaps in my possession, you couldn't tell me shit as I continued down the road and found another keycap owner. Dance battle time, but wait. This guy was more about the money they spent than anything else, so they asked me for 10 bean juices in exchange for that. Talk about a liquid asset, am I right? So I guess time to head back to Badgetown, but not before dance battling with my very first Mamunian Ooblet, a middle-aged bird named Hermble. This Ooblet's signature move was to lose points and stun people, which, you know, doesn't seem useful, but okay. With my Hermble seed acquired, I headed to Badgetown for those sweet, sweet 10 bean juices. But the issue here is that I don't know how to make bean juice, so I guess like I have to go buy them, but gotcha, they're hella expensive. So I went and sold some stuff to me to afford them, but then gotcha, you can only buy 3 a day. So I looked into learning how to make them, but to do that, I would need to buy a saucer and cup from Double for 1,500 gummies, and then buy spring bean seeds from Mead, plant them, and then wait 5 days for them to grow, then get the recipe for the ground spring beans, grind them, get the recipe for a bean juice, and then I can make bean juice. So I'm not gonna do that shit, nor can I even buy the saucer yet because I am gummy poor. So the solution now is just to, I guess, wait for like 3 days so I can just buy 3 bean juice in a day from Double and eventually get the 10 that I need. Truly the epitome of fun. I love fetch quests. And thus ended my first day of the period of waiting. On the second day, I crafted my very first Oob Coop, which is a little farm structure that you place down and assign an Ooblet to, in this case, my unusual lump stump. Look at its little straw hat. Oh my God, this game is so adorable. Now, Lump Stump, or whatever Ooblet you assign, will help with various farm tasks like watering, weeding, and harvesting. But I will need to upgrade the Oob Coop to a higher level to unlock space for more Ooblets and more tasks that they can do. Base level just has 1 Ooblet capacity, and then he's only gonna weed, which isn't super helpful, but like, it's a start. In my quest to catch them all, I bought some Mamunian crops to plant on my farm to hopefully be able to dance battle more Mamunian Ooblets. I also battled an Oogum, because, new Ooblet, love that. The third day of waiting, however, despite being rainy and dreary, brought new quests for me to ponder. First, Rignolia gave me a list of things to fetch in order to fix the Hankerbot, a robot that is going to mail me an item that a villager has a hankering for every day so that I may woo them better. Then I began a quest to reopen the dance barn, currently owned by Basil. Basically, I was supposed to give him materials, and then he would fix up the barn, and then I would buy it from him, and then he would donate it so the town could use it, which isn't how donating works, but besides quests, however, I also received a freshly harvested middle-aged man bird. Yay, my own little avian Homer. Continuing with the bird theme, I also danced with a dumb bird. The birds are so cute. Bitch! Around town, there were various surprises for me to find, like my Clomper, who had run away from the wildlands, a rain plop, a forageable that can only be found on rainy days and that you need to build sprinklers, and a mysterious note hinting at some spy activity. What? There's a double agent in our midst. Oh my god. Wait, also, I got my first friendship sticker from Ara today. Not only did she give me a sticker, she also gave me a little witch hat and a toot horn, which, yeah, I don't know what this is for. At last, the final day of waiting came, and I was actually not that intent on finishing the quest, I guess. Because instead of going right there, I just spent my morning dance battling my first gleamy Ooblet, a Dumburb that was materially the exact same as the one that I battled yesterday, but I have Corvid Brain, and it's sparkly, so caw-caw, I want it. I also completed the Hankerbot quest, so, you know, let's get hankering, right? But then, finally, after messing around and twiddling my thumbs all morning, I went and bought the final bean juice that I needed. I went to Mamunia and gave the drinks to that person, and then I was allowed to pass. It is about damn time. I only needed 3 more keycaps now, and luckily the next person I stumbled upon was the criminal who stole the caps in the first place and was selling them around town. I somehow convinced him to dance battle me for the rest. The battle was pretty difficult, mainly because the guy's Ooblets kept stunning people on my team for multiple turns and gave me Fluster, which makes you lose a point. He pulled ahead of me for a little bit, but after I got a bunch of hype, I was able to take him out, retrieving all the keycaps. I returned those caps to Princess Di and was able to finally gain entry and turn on the Oobnet Tower. Let's go! I hustled back to Badge Town where Tinsel met me at the balloon, and we ran to our tower, but unfortunately, it was not enough. We got 1 more bar, but as you know, you need all of the bars to fully access the internet. You know, that's math. But no matter, I'll just have to go to another tower in the town of Nullware. Naturally, I headed right there because I get tunnel vision with these main quests, y'all, and was pleasantly surprised by a completely different atmosphere. Nullware is an ooky spooky swamp town that is currently populated by, well, like normal people, actually. But these normal people are being terrorized by creepy cult members who pop out and scare them constantly. The cult is currently trying to kick out the natives because they don't fit the aesthetic, not the colonization cult. Unfortunately, the cult has also taken control of the Oobnet Tower as their headquarters, so I guess I'll go dance battle my way there. Dance battle 1, a ghost. He was pretty easy. Next, dance battle 2, a guy in a bat mask, I guess. This guy was a stunter. They stunned me a bunch of times, but no matter. Dance battle 3. Oh, ho, ho. This isn't a dance battle. This one is just a lady whose Oogum had got spooked off by the cultists, so I went and found the absolutely corn-fed Oogum and returned it to its owner, and on we go to Dance Battle 3 with Frankenstein Guy. Even though it started with me getting 1 fewer beats each round, and then he kept taking away 2 of my beats, leaving me with a single beat to work with, it was all for naught as I won out in the end. Haha, undefeated. After that, it was Dance Battle 4. Oh ho ho, they got me again! This is actually just a witch. Just like an actual witch. Just trying to live her life and sell her potions that make Ooblets bigger and smaller, which doesn't actually do anything, but okay. Anyways, on to dance battle number 4. Again, I'm Spooky Steve. Now this guy just wants 5 Bumblebee buns and then he'll buzz off. But to get those, I need money. Luckily, I picked my Dumburb that morning, so I got it scanned by Magnolia to get some gummies, and then I went and bought those buns. I delivered them to Spooky Steve on the next day, which led me to, at last, Dance Battle 4, with like a Harley Quinn looking person who I defeated like I was taking candy from a baby. And then I met the spookiest of all, a real estate agent. They were from Port Forward and offered me their card in case I wanted to get away from the creep cult by buying some new property. I entered the tower and was met by the leader of the creepy cultists. Of course it's a clown. Now he didn't want me to turn on the tower because it'd turn on the lights and ruin the vibe. But we can't have that. So I was like, hey, dance battle king? And he was like, I don't want a dance battle. But then I was like, why, you scared? And he was like, no. So he fought me. Oldest trick in the book. Even though he fought a fair fight, I flipped on that flossing, freaky clown and was allowed to turn on the second Oobnet Tower. Let's go! With the lights lighted and his spirits spirited away, I resolved the conflict with the clown by giving him the realtor's business card so he could get his own place to be a creep and leave these swampy townspeople alone. Peace. You love to see it. With the day saved, I returned to Badgetown, but oh my god, what? The Ooblets still isn't connected? I mean, who could have seen this coming? Not me. Oh my god, what? So I guess I'll have to go to Port Forward for the next one, but to reach that, I need to upgrade Gimbal's balloon so that we can actually reach Port Forward. Yay, another fetch quest. And this one needed a bunch of clothlets, famously super easy to get. Before I started my fetching though, I went to my farm and hoed some new areas for future oob coops and lined some stuff with some wooden paths. Now in theory, this would make the farm look good, but in practice, it still looks like shit. Listen, I'll be honest, farming in this game was just, a means to an end, so I never really bothered to actually invest in making my farm nice. So, sorry if that bothers you. Anyways, I then danced a nooblet. A new ooblet? Plob! I wanted this one because one of its signature moves is to give a random seed, and I was like, give me those clothlets, Now at this point I was beginning to feel like, I don't know if I have enough quests, And Tinsel heard and was like, oh bet? So I unlocked 2 more. First, I was to investigate why Badgetown stopped receiving the daily oob. Second, I was supposed to turn an empty storefront into my very own store. But to do this one, I needed an insane amount of planklets. To be exact, 150! Yeah, so we'll see about that. With all of this questing to be done, I started out the next day by clearing all of my farm, which gave me a bunch more nurnies and planklets and clothlet seeds. With these, I was able to finish almost everything for the balloon quest, save for the fucking clothlets, and make an okay-sized dent in the shop quest. I know I basically had nothing to really do quest-wise, but wait for the clothlets to be big and grown up and harvestable, so I explored around town. I dance battled with one of my favorite ooblets, a rad lad, who looks like if a happier Tim Burton drew a radish, and I also danced with an isopud and honey. I mean, listen, call me the Oob Meister, cause I'm raking in the oob seeds, motherfuckers. My explorations also turned up a message in a bottle that revealed a mysterious location on my map. I flew with the balloon to this new location and found an ephemeral ooblet vacation spot. There was a nooblet there who I couldn't catch, Oobsidian, Nurnies in the ground, and... Are they playing Survivor? Overnight, I leveled up, which unlocked more quests, just what I needed. The first one that I saw was this quest to make a gift basket for the Ooblet High Council because, they hate us and want to evict everyone from Badgetown, so let's buy them off. The other quest was to unlock a door in Town Hall, which actually just needed 1 planklet and a couple rain plops, so whatever, I can do that, I grabbed those real quick and headed back over, popping open the door and gaining me access to the DMV, which okay, but what the hell are we gonna use a DMV for in this game? Useless, stupid, what a bad room, At least it has a photo booth. But wait, I'm not done with my other quest from yesterday, so I headed to Gimbal to fly me up to the Daily Oobs dirigible and talked to the newspaper man. Apparently the OHC told them that we don't exist. Therefore, we don't get deliveries because the newspaper has just turned into a propaganda arm for the OHC. They only follow their orders, and they're only printing stories that are officially approved by the OHC. Damn, Daily Oob. I expected better of you, honestly. Now you'd think this was a fruitless endeavor, but no, because I found a person at the back of the dirigible who needed help typesetting, and I was like, all right, set me up. The typesetting is just a little mini game, and it's actually a slide puzzle, which pays you for completing it. I love slide puzzles, by the way, if you couldn't tell. There's 3 sizes, a 3x3, a 3x4, and a 4x4, but you can only do one of each day, so you get 225 gummies total from doing all of them. It was very handy for both earning purpose and because it's just slide puzzle practice, just in case I'm ever on Survivor, With my prize money, I was able to give enough to fix up the dance barn. Yay! But back at my farm, I was only able to pick my isopud and honey before I ran out of room on the farm, so I couldn't pick my rad lad. Okay. I guess I'll just have to build more oob coops. Now, I honestly never thought that I would have to make a video like this. I think I need to address some things that I may or may not have said in the past. The DMV is not useless. Look, I got this letter telling me that if my ooblets could reach level 10, they'd be able to drive a car. Let's go! In town, the dance barn was open for business. Every day, there will be a different dance battle tournament for me to join with a pretty significant reward each day, from recipes to obsidian to oob coops. Now, you have to win all 3 dance battles to win the reward, but these aren't your mama's ooblet dance battles. No. There's modes where you can only play signature moves, or cards don't cost beats to play, or, well, your mama's dance battles, just, normal ones. I took on my first dance battle tourney and wiped the fucking floor with them. These other ooblets are nothing before the mighty power of Shrumbo the Annihilator. After that, I was just bored, so I just kind of did stuff. I did some slide puzzles. I went to the ephemeral vacation spot for nernies, I guess, and I found some clothlets around town. Yay! Luckily, my torturous existence waiting for my clothlets to grow was over, because the next day my clothlets weren't done growing, but I found enough around town to finish that fetch quest and get that balloon upgraded tomorrow. In the meantime, I expanded my inventory by buying a sweet fanny pack from the clothing store. Fun fact, in Britain, fanny means I sent my ooblets to the wildlands to free up some space in my farm and finally was able to pick Radlad and also my gleamy Dumburb. And yet, I still have more ripe ooblets that I cannot pick. So I went around town looking for materials to build an oob coop to expand my capacity for love and also ooblets on my farm. The next day, finally, the balloon upgrade was done, so I rushed on over to the dance barn to take part in a dance battle. Listen, I just need to win the recipe for a blue goo pie. I mean, what would you expect me to do, Besides, it could be a warm-up for the dance battles to come in Port Forward. And speaking of, here's Port Forward. It looks like New Jersey. That's not a joke. It really just kind of looks like New Jersey. But unlike New Jersey, there were no dance battles here, just arcade games. In fact, the arcade games are how I'm going to be wrestling my way into the Oobnet Tower in Port Forward. See, it's been taken over by the Ranking Rangers, a child gang whose leader, Brubba, has the top score in all 6 games on the boardwalk, which means he, I guess, gets to live in the tower. Yay! Listen, the point is, he won't let us turn on the tower because it'll ruin the gaming ambiance, so we'll have to remove him through the power of gaming. Or murder. No, we'll just do gaming, I guess. We'll have to get the high score in all 6 arcade games to be granted entry to the tower, and if that proves too hard, there is this one lady who can hack the games and give me the high score. But at 300 gummies a game, listen, I'm going to try and win fair and square first. Not because I have morals, but because I don't have money, okay? Also, the cultists are here, yay! First up is Wurlitzer Weave, aka Flappy Bird. It took me a couple tries, but I eventually got it. The key was to get the spicy pepper, which cost 50 points each and made you shoot fire at your booty. Next up, we have Gleamy Glider, where the goal is to stop your little character on the Gleamy Gully Splots for maximum points. You can land on the normal ones too, but you do get less points, and it'll get replaced with an X. And then if you land on an empty space or an X 3 times, you're done. I was actually pretty goated with the sauce on this one, not gonna lie. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, I got that high score, and on to the next one. Biddle Burrow is a game about burrowing. Basically, the map moves up and you move down, and you try not to get stuck on a platform and hit the top of the screen. Definitely the easiest one for me, I'm gonna be honest. I barely paid attention, and then exactly tied with the high score, which still counts, so take that, child. Now, I was on a roll, so I came into Plobpen with a big head and high ambitions, and I was very quickly humbled. This one is about like catching the plobs in like small pens by laying down fence, and when you finish a level, they add another plob that you have to like deal with. But here's the thing, if the fence you're laying hits a plob, you lose a life. This one did not come naturally to me, and I got quite frustrated. So, Legit! This is one of the trickier ones, but it wasn't impossible like Plobpen. It's an endless runner, and I thought because I was like, a Subway Surfer pro, I'd kill it, but I was mistaken. The jump is like annoyingly floaty and high, so I kept running into stuff as I landed and then dying. But eventually, Jake from Subway Surfer took over my body, and I won. Yay! Only one game left, shut up Plobpen, and that game is the badass inverse of Legit, where instead of avoiding stuff, you're trying to run into everything. Except Pantsa Bears. They have feeling, unlike tables. Fuck you, tables. Definitely easier than Legit, and I got the high score after only like 2 tries, so let's go. But now, actually, we only have one left, and that one is Plobpen. I had been burned before, but I figured, listen, I'll just really focus and relax in, and then I'm pretty sure I'll be able to Okay, so fuck that. I went to the dirigible and got some money from slide puzzles and then paid off that lady to get me the high score. Boom! I went to rub my victory in that child's face, and not only did I get to enter the Ooblet Tower, I took over the gang. My first decree was to open the tower to everyone, as long as they kept it on. What a benevolent leader I am. I turned on that Ooblet Tower and booked it back to Badgetown, but unfortunately, what? Oh my god, what? The Ooblet still isn't connected? That's so wild. Unfortunately though, time is now running out, and the council is determined to get Badgetown disincorporated. And to make matters worse, the cans are back with a vengeance. Luckily, my mailbox knows exactly where the next tower is. Bear Hills. But it's late, so I just finished the gift basket quest and then headed to bed. The next day I woke thinking to myself, I really wish I had more quests. Well, lucky for me, with the port forward Ooblet Tower connected, I unlocked a bunch of new quests to get the Ooblet team's new clubhouses. Now for some of them, it was fine and dandy to get the materials. I mean, Peak Snubs only needed 500 gummies, which is high, but manageable. Mimpins needed some Nurnies, Sprockets, and Obsidian, which I barely use Sprockets, so easy peasy. But others were more difficult. Frun Buns needed carrot cakes and 10 clothlets, and my own moss sprouts needed 12 clothlets and 20 planklets, both things that I needed for other story quests. Selfish. Well, time to book it to Bear to avoid other responsibility. Okay, another quest. Apparently in the past, some Badgetonian tourists stole a relic from Bear, and we've all been barred entry, so now I needed to find that relic. Luckily, I'm very focused, so I just kind of ran around a little bit and found another message in a bottle, and then I went to that island, which was the same exact thing as the last one, but the Ooblets were new. And then I went to the dirigible for gummies, and then I went to Mamunia for some sprockets, and ended up dance battling a Furmo and getting that seed. And then I took those sprockets, and I was able to finish the Mimpins Clubhouse already, day one, let's go. And then I was like, oh right, the missing relic, okay. Well, it's not in the hair salon, it's not in the coffee shop, or really any of the shops. So I went to the town hall and I checked the DMV and the police office, but no luck. And then I was like, listen, wouldn't it be funny if it was in Tinsel's office? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Well, guess what? Tinsel corrupt era, am I right? The next day I was similarly very focused. First, I went to check out the Mimpins Clubhouse. Basically, it's just like a new job board and shop where the only currency is Mimpins coins. You get those coins from completing the little tasks that they have on their job board, and then the shop itself sells Ooblet accessories, me accessories, and even new cards for dance battles. Cool. Speaking of dance battles, I did another dance barn tourney because the reward was an Oob Coop. Let's go. After wiping the goddamn floor with them, thank you, almighty Shrumbo, I went to my farm and admired my 3 shiny Oob Coops, and I decided now was a good time to start upgrading some of them because at level 2, my Ooblets would actually water my crops for me, so I A, didn't need a sprinkler, and B, didn't have to worry about them drying out midday. Now, finally, the main task, I gave the relic to Gimbal. Tinsel was there and had the gall to say that she just thought it was a paperweight. Sure. With that cleared up, I headed over to Bear Hills, a vaguely Scottish-inspired town with rolling hills, ruins, and so many Bears. Upon arrival, we were greeted by Shenehi, this person, and because I'm an empath, I deduced that she was upset with us for stealing their relic. With the relic return, we were all good. But of course, I couldn't get into the Ooblet Tower because, it's a historic building, so I would need to become a member of the Historical Society by doing something big. Something like, say it with me, finding the 5 other pieces of the Bear Hills ancient statue. The first suspect that I came across was a theater kid who sold candles. I engaged him in a classic dance battle, surrounded by a ring of Bears. I, of course, won, because I've literally never lost. With one piece of my possession, I found an old man among the ruins who was the rightful heir to the throne, and I was like, yeah, cool story, bro, you want a dance battle? So I dance battled him for the piece of the statue. King dethroned, I met a classic video game archetype, a disco roller skating merchant dressed as a Bear. We dance battled, and what do you know, I won. Wow. Crazy. With 3 of 5 pieces secured, I headed to the next NPC who had a piece but was more concerned with the fact that she was locked out of her house because she lost the lucky fake rock that she hid her extra set of keys in. Right. Anyways, I had to go find that fake rock now, and along the way I found another piece just, sitting in the middle of a ruin maze. Okay. In a similar ruined maze, I found the fake rock and reunited it with its owner in exchange for the last relic piece. Then I went and turned all those 5 pieces in, restoring the statue at last. Oh. Statue restored, I was allowed to join the Historical Society and granted entry to the Ooblets Tower. I turned that sucker on and I ran right back to Badgetown to meet Tinsel. Oh my god, do you think we'll be connected? Well, considering that there's still clouds on my map of undiscovered locations, probably not. And I was right. What do you know? Okay. I had the rest of the day to myself while Tinsel researched where the last tower was. So I headed to Port Forward because I still had some leftover game tickets in my pocket that were taking up space. I played some more games until I had enough tickets to buy a recipe for myself and some candy. Then I went to Mamunia to dance with any new Ooblets I could find, and I ended up dancing with a Fripp and a Durble, getting 2 new seeds. Slowly but surely, my Ooblet collection grows. But with time wasted, I went to sleep and woke up to Tinsel outside of my house, who told me to head to Tippy Top Mountain for the final Ooblet Tower. So I rushed over to Gimbal, making a pit stop to give all the money needed for the Peak Snubs Clubhouse, let's go, and made my way mountainward. Listen, by this point, I mean, we kind of know that I'm just gonna like have to, do some various tasks to get to the tower and all that. And some of them are getting a little repetitive. I mean, we had the 2 lockouts. We had 2 people who didn't want the lights on in a row. But Tippy Top really set itself apart from the others with some of the most delightfully absurd yet totally reasonable rationale for each stoppage. First, we met Allgood, the ranger, at the least tippy part of Tippy Top Mountain. And I quickly had a classic defeat me in a dance battle to proceed situation on my hands because I did not have my EMPW license, my Extreme Mountain Path walking license. They naturally fell before the might of my Shrumbo and also the other Ooblets, and I headed further along the trail until it became too cold for me to continue. Luckily, a fellow traveler said that they would give me a coat if I bring him 3 space heaters to thaw his trunk open. So I ran back to Badgetown to make those at the Manitui Fabricutor and took a real quick pit stop to pick a freshly grown Firmo before heading back to the mountain. With the space heaters, we were able to thaw that trunk open and get the winter coat out. Now my body was all warm like, so I pushed on until it got cold again. There's another conveniently placed traveler there who turned out to be from Badgetown. She asked me to deliver some postcards to her friends there, and then she'd be able to help me out. Even though, I'm trying to help all of her friends, so she could just help me out.
That's great, sweetie, but just deliver the motherfucker.
Okay, so back to Badgetown I went to start delivering her postcards. She seemed to be quite the character around town, and it took me into the next day to find everyone who got a postcard. And in that time, I got to get a peek at the Peak Snubs Clubhouse, which is just a mansion. Same thing as the Mimpins here. There's a store, coins, tasks, and just a little bit of extra snobbery, Finally, I had the postcards all delivered, so I headed back to Tippy Top and was rewarded for my actions with a cool new hat, handmade by Mallory.
There's a tag on this hat, but okay, thank you very much.
Able to live my Holden Caulfield fantasy, I trudged along until, you guessed it, I couldn't go any further, this time because of rocks. To continue, I need to talk to this conveniently placed salesperson selling a pickaxe for 3,000? Yeah, 3,000 gummies. I was able to get the price knocked down to 1,000 with some barely passable lying. But listen, 1,000 I can work with. I headed to Old Reliable, the dirigible, and did some slide puzzles until I had enough gummies to buy myself a pickaxe. I set to work breaking those rocks, getting me the forageable for this region, True Strolls, and finding a new Ooblet that I'll get to later. But with the rocks broken, I soldiered up the mountain until, I can't go any further. Lukehold, conveniently placed, offered to give me his snowshoes because he was on the way down, if I could just get him some cream of droostrel soup to soothe his aching muscles. So, back to town we go. Now to make this recipe, I needed a swooshler to make Pompadour juice, as one does. So I constructed that, bought the recipe for Pompadour juice from the Wishy Well, then set a dribble in there to swoosh some Pompadour for me.
What a sentence.
Because of this, it took into the evening to make the soup, but I finally did it and then set out the next morning back to that stupid old mountain. I swear to God, this better be the last time I have to retrace my steps. I broke the boulders again and dance battled with the Ooblet that I found, because, why not? And then I gave soup to the guy, and he gave me the snowshoes in return so I could keep on going with my mountain journey. I kept on going until... Not more... Nah, just kidding. I just kept going and I made it to the top. I turned on the final, hopefully, Ooblet Tower and then stopped for a contemplative moment, looking out over the horizon, and oh my god, that's our little town. That's Badge Town. What a nice pause. Okay, anyways, I headed back down the mountain and decided to dance battle with one more tippy-top ooblet before returning to Badge Town to find, oh no, everything's all taped up and there are eviction notices. This probably isn't good, I don't know. Tinsel and I went to the Ooblet Tower and yay, it works, but like, I don't know, how does that help us now? Well, Tinsel actually has a plan, a petition. Which, okay, that's okay. But she's serious, because if we get 100 signatures, then there's a law that the Oob Council must look at it and issue a response. Of course, in order to make the petition website, we would need an Oobnet server. And for that, we'll need another fetch quest to gather 15 sprockets, fine, 30 nernies, easy, and 20 obsidian. What the hell? Okay, remember when I put an obsidian in the reconstitutor? Yeah. So anyways, I scrounged up as much as I could from my farm, getting all of the nernies, then looked around town, took from some uncompleted quests, but with all of that, I still only was able to get 8 obsidian and also 2 sprockets, but we'll get to that. So this is gonna be difficult. Something to sleep on. The next day was all about finding obsidian. I went around town looking for some. I went to the ephemeral vacation spot and I actually found some there, but I was starting to get desperate. I mean, I stooped so low as to go into people's houses and snoop through their belongings, but it was all worth it because I actually found an obsidian there. But even with all of this, I only managed to end the day with 12 obsidian. 60% there, but still an L. And speaking of taking L's, my ego finally caught up with me because today, while at a dance battle at the barn, I somehow lost. I couldn't believe it, frankly. I mean, I'm the Oobmeister. I'm undefeated. Now I know how the Patriots felt in OA. Yeah, that's right. That's a fucking sports reference, bro. The next day was more of the same. Going to Mamunia for sprockets, the ephemeral island for obsidian, but not really finding any. I mean, I got so desperate at this point that I went to Panther Bear Hills and nowhere, even though I knew I wouldn't be able to find anything there. But I did see a gloopy longlegs on Nowhere who have been wanting for a while, so I danced battle with them, so that was fun. Luckily, the dance barn had obsidian as their prize for the day, and I didn't freaking lose this time, so I got a total of 1 obsidian for today. Great. I mean, listen, grinding for a fetch quest at this point just feels comical, because it's like, oh no, our town is covered in eviction notices, and shutdown is supposedly imminent, but sure, we'll wait while you look for obsidian, I guess. Anyway, the next day started off way better, because there was an obsidian just like lying around my farm, because, you know, when you have gleamy ooblets, that just happens sometimes. Then I found another obsidian in a rock on my farm, and then I found another one just lying around. Let's go. With those 3, I now had 16 obsidian, so only 4 to go, and 14 of 50 sprockets. But at this point I was a little tired, so I decided to pause my game and recording, and then I forgot to unpause recording. So listen, you're just gonna have to take my word for this and trust my drawings and narration, okay? So I went back to Mamunia for some reason, and I actually found one more sprocket randomly that just spawned in the middle of the day, I guess. And then I found a new message in a bottle on the beach, and that gave me a new island to visit, so I went there, and I found 3 obsidians there, so I only needed 1 more, and I finally just caved and just used 100 wishies to buy the last one, and I finally completed the quest. Let's go! Now, with all these materials, we were able to build the server and launch the petition, so now all we have to do is wait for tomorrow. Also, I danced with this funky looking guy, which, you know, thank God I remembered to record. All right, everyone, today is the day. I was told to come to the tower to watch us cross 100 Siggies, so I ran over and lo and behold, we did it. We got the OHC to look at our petition and give us a response? No. So, that sucks, but luckily, a message came through from a whistleblower who wanted to help us out. He told me to meet him using the secret passage under a rock in the wildlands, and not a second too soon, because some goons came and were trying to kick everyone out right now and demo our town. So while Tinsel took care of the demolition goons, I went underground. Below town was this weird cave mine thing, and I found this worker named Yerbert. Through the magic of dance battling, I got a uniform from him, and looking sexy in my bumblebee bun uniform. Oh, I guess this is the bumblebee bun mines, those little treat things that Paul sells. But in that uniform, I went further down the path and ran into a supervisor who was suspicious because why are there 2 Yerberts? But whatever, let's keep going. I then found out about bumblebees being real. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know that they were fake. I was not under the impression that they didn't exist. But okay. But it was in this conversation that I figured out why everyone was trying to get rid of Badgetown. They wanted to expand their operations, but to do that, they would need to use dynamite and explosions that would make a whole ruckus. And then everyone in Badgetown would be like, what's going on? And they come down there and we find out that bumblebees are real, which means that then the Bumblebee Buns Corporation wouldn't be able to have a monopoly on bumblebees. Oh no! So now, it was getting personal. I journeyed further into the mine trying to find the whistleblower, and I found myself in a factory. The guard there was like, listen, we're not gonna leave unless there's a big old ruckus. And I was like, all right, bet. So I went down and started fucking everything up. And I was like, nah, make a mess. And then everyone was like, oh no. And this made the guard run away. So then I went into the corporate offices. I ran into someone there who was like, what are you doing here? Are you an Ooblet handler? And I was like, sure. And they were like, all right, dance battle me to prove it. And I did, and I won. As I walked through the corporate halls, I started to learn more, and the whole operation started to unravel because right there in those halls, I saw the Ooblet High Council, which are literal fucking puppets. I thought everyone loved puppets. It turns out the Bumblebee Corporation has been in control of the OHC this whole time. And to prove it, I even saw this seal on a person's desk and I took it. I went a little bit further down and finally found the informant. He took me into the server room and he said, hey, here's all the incriminating evidence that we keep on a server. I don't know why we keep it on a server, but it's here. You just have to beat the firewall, so put on these VR headsets and get to it. So I went in and had like a little Tron Legacy moment, and I was dance battling these firewall computer Ooblets. This was like the big finale Ooblet battle of the whole game, and I gotta say, I do wish more of the later Ooblet battles in the game were more like this one. The point total goal to win was way higher than the normal Ooblet battles, which actually made this like a way more challenging fight. That has to be my biggest gripe with this game, is I feel like the Ooblet battles just became way too easy at a certain point. Okay, anyways, back to the story though. I won. So I was able to print out all of the incriminating evidence, and then I was like, oh no, how am I gonna get back to town quickly? I need to go back through all this. Oh no, there's a janitor there, and they were a fighter for the people, and they helped me escape. Thanks, janitor. Solidarity, let's go. I went back to town, and I found Tinsel and everyone else, and I was like, hey y'all, I found out all this stuff, and also, here's all the incriminating evidence that we need to blow this whole operation up, okay? And I gave it to Ara, because I didn't mention this part about her character before, but she writes zines. And then Tinsel was like, wait, did you just say Bumblebee Buns? Hey, Pult, come on over here. And when we confronted Pult about this, he was like, and he ran away, and it turned out he was the one planting all the mystery cans. He was the double agent. Betrayal. She came back like 2 minutes later and gave me the article, and I ran over to the dirigible to get them to print the article. But the guy was like, no, we can't print this. It's not from the OHC. There's no seal on it. So I used the seal, put it on the article, gave it to the Daily Oob, and they were like, get printed, idiot. But then, back at town, hope seemed lost. What were we to do? How were we going to stave off these goons from the OHC any longer? Independent contractors any longer? And then, oh no, some suits showed up, and they finally gave me the perfect word to describe this game. Twee. This game is twee. This town is twee. The humor, it's twee. And as the end of this twee little town seemed imminent, suddenly, newspapers started to rain down from the heavens, exposing everything. The suits saw this and they were like, oh no, we gotta go. This is getting printed everywhere? Oh, we're out of here. Bye. And then the demolition crew was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess we're not getting paid. Bye, guys. But Tinsel was like, wait. We do have one thing we can demolish. And they tore down the statue of the OHC. I will take the Shrumbo statue, though. Thank you. But yeah, so that's it. We saved the day. Yay. The town is saved. Wow. So then we all celebrated by just generally standing around and talking to each other. It was fun. But there's one more person I need to make peace with. And that's the DMV. More specifically, the photo booth in the DMV. So I went in there and I took a picture with my main 3 Ooblets. And with that, I finished the story of Ooblets. And what a story it was. Now on the other side of playing Ooblets, and with like a week or so of distance from it, I have to say, despite the grindiness of it, and like a few too many fetch quests for my taste, I really enjoyed playing. Like, listen, I was initially really skeptical of like the whole dance battle concept, but once I got into it, I was like, oh damn, this goes like deep. The strategy is there and it's real. In Pokemon, I'm like the kind of person who basically spams attack moves, and if it doesn't take down HP, I don't want to see it, you know? But in Ooblets, I was frequently playing cards that weren't like traditional attack cards, and I really appreciate that the game mechanics pushed me to consider different strategies other than just add points. The only thing with the dance battles is that I really wish that they were harder as you got more into the game. At a certain point, the difficulty level just really plateaued, and it kind of became really boring to do dance battles, and I really just wanted to be challenged by them as opposed to being challenged by harder fetch quests, which basically just means more annoying fetch quests, you know? And don't get me wrong, I do think that a fetch quest has its place in games, and sometimes they can be executed well. For instance, I actually really like the whole fetch quest aspect of catching a new Ooblet. It creates this fun interplay between all the different mechanics that the game has to offer, from cooking to farming to creation. And with that said, I also loved catching the Ooblets. Well, I guess like planting the Ooblets, whatever you want to call it. There were so many different Ooblets that all felt unique, but from the same world. They all had these really like appealing and cute designs that were just ready to be turned into plushies. And overall, the design of this game was truly great. There was great characters, there was great distinct levels, and the music, oh my god, the music, it was just like vibey and fun and catchy. It has landed itself in the category of game music that I listen to when I'm not even gaming. Overall, just the vibes of Ooblet were just impeccable. And if you like creature collection, if you like card-based combat, if you like a light sprinkling of farm sims, I highly recommend you check the game out. And if you liked this video, I highly recommend that you hit that like button, like the actual button, you know? And then maybe, I don't know, subscribe. Oh, you feeling crazy? You feeling kooky? Until the next one though, stay cute, stay hydrated, stay you, and most importantly, stay standing clicky claws. Okay, bye!